The signal Lieutenant Marcus Ortega jolted awake at his monitoring station as the long-range scanner erupted with sound. The distinct pattern of pulses wasn't random static. It was structured, intentional. He straightened in his chair, sleep vanishing from his mind as he recognized the pattern. "Computer analyze signal pattern," he ordered, fingers flying across the holographic interface. The artificial intelligence hummed softly. "Pattern matches Protocol 7 Epsilon, Universal Emergency Broadcast System. Signal origin, Zephyrus system, approximately 38 light-years from Earth." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Protocol 7 Epsilon was the oldest communication method in known space, the galactic equivalent of an SOS, reserved for catastrophic emergencies. In 15 years of deep space monitoring, he'd never encountered a genuine 7 Epsilon distress call. "Decode. Message," he commanded. The AI processed for several seconds before 3 simple sentences appeared on his screen. "Help us, the harvesters approach. Nothing survives their hunger." Within 30 minutes, the command center of Earth Space Defense Headquarters buzzed with activity. Captain Valeria Reyes strode through the doors, her compact frame moving with the efficiency of a predator. At 48, her dark hair was streaked with silver, but her eyes remained sharp, missing nothing. "Talk to me," she said to Marcus, who now stood before the main display screen with the decoded message glowing crimson against the black background. "Signal is authentic, Captain. Definitely coming from the Zephyrus system. The message repeats every 14 minutes. It's been broadcasting for approximately 4 days based on signal degradation." Lieutenant Commander Darian Way, Valeria's tactical officer, crossed his arms over his lean chest. "Could be a trap. We've had zero direct contact with anyone from the Zephyrus system. Or it could be exactly what it sounds like," Valeria replied, "people who need help." Director Huang, who had arrived moments after Valeria, shook her head. "The Zephyrus system is well beyond our established territory. We'd be sending ships into completely uncharted space." The room fell silent as the command staff considered the implications. Humanity had been spacefaring for just over a century. While they had established colonies throughout their solar system and several nearby star systems, they remained relatively isolated in the galactic community. Most alien civilizations maintained a wary distance from Earth ships. Why? Valeria had once asked an alien diplomat during a rare summit. The answer had been uncomfortably blunt. "Because you evolved on what the galaxy calls a death world. Your bodies are too resilient, your minds too aggressive, your instincts too predatory. You survived conditions that would exterminate most sentient species." The diplomat had meant it as a warning. Humans had taken it as a point of pride. The silence in the command center was broken by the arrival of an unexpected visitor. The door slid open to reveal a tall, willowy figure that seemed to shimmer with subtle luminescence. Ambassador Nix Tao of the Celestial Confluence moved with uncanny grace, his pearlescent skin catching the light as he entered, creating delicate prismatic patterns on the walls. "I apologize for the interruption," he said, his voice melodious, but with an artificial quality that betrayed the translator he wore. "My vessel detected your increased communications activity. Is there a problem?" Valeria stepped forward. "Ambassador, this is a military matter. We've received a distress signal," Marcus interjected, earning a sharp look from Director Huang. "From the Zephyrus system. Protocol 7 Epsilon." The effect on Ambassador Nix Tao was immediate and alarming. The gentle glow that emanated from his skin dimmed noticeably, and he took a halting step backward. "The Zephyrians," he whispered. "Are you certain?" Valeria studied his reaction carefully. "You know them?" Nix Tao composed himself with visible effort. "Every advanced species knows of the Zephyrian Collective. They are ancient, peaceful beings who rarely communicate with other species. But their crystalline technology and resonance abilities are legendary." He moved closer to the display screen. "If they have sent a 7 Epsilon distress call, something catastrophic has occurred." Darian remained skeptical. "And what catastrophic event would that be, Ambassador?" Nix Tao's pearlescent features hardened. "There are rumors, reports of entities that emerge from the void between galaxies. The galactic community calls them the Void Harvesters. They do not conquer. They consume. Consume what? Marcus asked, feeling that same chill return. Everything, Nixtau said simply. Worlds, resources, life, all devoured to fuel their expansion. Director Huang cleared her throat. With respect, Ambassador, we can't launch a military response based on rumors and ghost stories. Then why did you ask me what could threaten the Zephyrians? Nixtau challenged. If you dismiss my answer, why seek information at all? The room grew tense as the humans exchanged glances. Valeria stepped between Huang and the ambassador. Because this isn't about belief, she said firmly. This is about a call for help, and we need all available intelligence before we respond. Respond? Nixtau's inner light pulsed with alarm. You cannot seriously be considering answering this call. Valeria's expression hardened. That's exactly what we're considering, Ambassador. But the Zephyrus system is nearly 40 light years away, even with your most advanced vessels. 3 weeks, Darian interjected. Our newest vessels can make the journey in 3 weeks. Nixtau stared at them in disbelief. You would send your ships into unknown space, possibly against enemies you know nothing about, for people you have never met? Yes, Valeria said without hesitation. We would. Ambassador Nixtau studied the humans surrounding him, his luminescent features impossible to read. On my world, we believe in diplomatic solutions, opening communication channels, negotiation. Valeria smiled, but there was steel behind it. On our world, Ambassador, we believe that when someone calls for help, you help them. 6 hours later, Captain Valeria Reyes stood in the massive hangar bay of Earth's orbital shipyard, watching as crews prepared the fleet for departure. 5 ships would make the journey, led by her own vessel, the EDF Intrepid. Ambassador Nixtau stood beside her, still visibly troubled. Your people are so eager for conflict, he observed. No, Ambassador, Valeria corrected. We're eager to prevent suffering, but we're prepared if prevention requires force. The Celestial Confluence has ordered me to accompany your fleet, Nixtau said stiffly. They believe I can moderate your response. Valeria turned to face him. With all due respect, Ambassador, if the Zephyrians are facing what you described, moderation may not be what they need. What do you think they need, Captain? Nixtau asked. Valeria looked out at her ship, at the defensive systems being calibrated, at the squad of Marines boarding with their combat gear. They need people who aren't afraid to fight, she said simply. And coming from Earth, what did you call it? A death world? That's something we know how to do very well. She turned and walked toward the boarding tunnel, leaving Nixtau to follow. Behind them, the signal from the Zephyrus system continued its endless repetition across 38 light-years of space. Help us. The harvesters approach. Nothing survives their hunger. The EDF Intrepid cut through space like an arrow, sleek and purposeful. Captain Valeria Reyes stood on the bridge, watching as the blue light of Earth's solar system faded behind them. 4 other ships followed in formation, each built for adaptability and resilience. Together, they formed the first human rescue fleet to venture so far into unknown territory. Jump drive charged and ready, Captain. Navigator Ryota Himura reported from his station. A young officer with intense focus and steady hands, he was the finest pilot in Earth space defense. All ships report ready status, Commander Wei added. Valeria nodded. Begin the jump sequence. Ambassador Nixtau watched from the side of the bridge, his pearlescent form rigid with tension. During his 4 years as diplomat to Earth, he had never traveled on a human military vessel. The Intrepid was nothing like the elegant, comfortable ships of his people. Every surface seemed designed for function rather than beauty, the crew moving with purpose, their bodies stronger and denser than any celestial. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Ryota counted down. Space bent around them. Stars stretched into lines, then vanished. For a brief moment, reality itself seemed to tear apart before snapping back together. The view screen showed new stars, a new region of space. Jump complete, Ryota announced. All ships accounted for. Next jump point in 18 hours. Nixtau steadied himself against the wall, his inner light dimmed with discomfort. The humans seemed completely unaffected by the violent transition between space-time points. Valeria noticed his distress. "First time jumping, Ambassador?" "Celestial vessels transition more gradually," he replied. "Your method is efficient, but rather jarring." "You'll adjust," Valeria said. "We have 5 more jumps before we reach the Zephyrus system." Nixtau's eyes widened. 5? In only 3 weeks? Their vessels are said to be semi-organic entities, massive organisms that require constant nourishment. Amadi snorted. "Living ships? Sounds like stories to frighten children." "Your disbelief does not change reality," Nixtau said coldly. As the Intrepid continued its journey deeper into unexplored space, Valeria knew they were racing against time. Whether the threat was real or imagined, something had terrified the ancient Zephyrians enough to break their isolation and send a desperate plea across the stars. And humans, the dangerous deathworlders that the galaxy feared, were the only ones answering the call. First contact, the EDF Intrepid completed its 5th jump with a violent shudder that rattled through the hull. On the bridge, the crew performed their post-jump checks with practiced efficiency. No one mentioned the increasing strain on the ship's systems. Pushing the jump drives beyond recommended limits had been Valeria's decision, shaving crucial days off their journey. "Jump complete," Navigator Ryota announced. "All systems functional. All escort vessels accounted for." Ambassador Nixtau stood silently at the rear of the bridge, his pearlescent form noticeably dimmer than when they'd departed Earth. The rapid succession of jumps had taken a visible toll on his physiology. "Final jump successful," Commander Wei confirmed. "We've arrived at the outer boundary of the Zephyrus system." Valeria stepped forward. Tactical display. The main view screen shifted to show a sensor map of the star system. At its center burned a bright yellow star similar to Earth's sun, surrounded by 6 planets and numerous smaller bodies. The 4th planet, according to their limited data, the Zephyrian homeworld, was surrounded by unusual energy signatures. "What am I looking at?" Valeria asked, studying the strange patterns. Dr. Chen stepped closer to the display. "Those readings are unusual. The energy signature surrounding the 4th planet is fluctuating in a non-random pattern." "Tactical assessment?" Valeria asked. Wei's expression darkened. "Multiple large objects in orbit around the 4th planet. They're not natural satellites, vessels," Valeria pressed. "Unknown, Captain," Wei replied. "They don't match any configuration in our database. Each is approximately 8 kilometers in length with an irregular, almost organic structure." Ambassador Nixtau moved forward, his inner light pulsing erratically. "Void harvesters," he whispered. "They're already here." Chief Amadi, who had been monitoring communications, suddenly straightened. "Captain, I'm detecting a faint transmission. It's using the same Protocol 7 Epsilon pattern, but it's coming from the 2nd moon of the 6th planet. Can you isolate it?" Valeria asked. "Working on it," Amadi replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "It's much weaker than the original signal. Decoding now." The message appeared on the screen. "Survivors at Eris Moon. Shield failing. Send help." "Survivors," Dr. Chen said, a note of hope in her voice. Valeria turned to Wei. "Status of those vessels around the 4th planet?" "They appear to be attached to the planet somehow," Wei reported, confusion evident in his voice. "I'm not detecting significant movement." "The harvesters aren't ships in the way you understand them," Nixtau said. "Quietly, they're living entities. They anchor themselves to a planet while they feed." "Feed?" Valeria asked. "On everything," Nixtau replied. "The harvesters consume a world's resources, from its atmosphere to its core." Valeria's jaw tightened. "Ryota, set course for the 6th planet, 2nd moon. Stealth approach. Full sensor sweep as we get closer." "Captain," Wei cautioned, "we don't know if those entities can detect us. If they're organic, as the ambassador claims, they'll have organic limitations," Valeria finished. "Keep our emission signature minimal, energy-absorbing hull configuration. Let's look like just another piece of space debris." As the Intrepid and its escort vessels moved deeper into the system, the full horror of what had happened to the Zephyrian homeworld became apparent. "My God," Dr. Chen whispered as the enhanced images appeared on the main view screen. The once vibrant planet was being systematically dismantled. Enormous, vein-like structures extended from the harvester vessels deep into the planet's surface. Where they penetrated, the land was dead and gray, stripped of all resources. Massive fissures revealed the planet's mantle, glowing an angry red where the core was being extracted. "Those aren't ships," Wei said in horrified realization. "They're parasites. They're abominations," Nixtao whispered, his light dimming. Further, Valeria studied the tactical display, noting the positions of the harvesters. They're concentrating on the home world. The sixth planet and its moons don't appear to be targeted yet. They consume worlds in sequence, Nixtao explained, starting with the most resource-rich, which gives us a window to reach the survivors. Valeria concluded. "Commander Wei, prepare a rescue team. I want our stealth shuttle ready in 30 minutes. "Captain," Wei objected. "Protocol dictates I'm leading this mission," Valeria said, cutting him off. "You'll have command of the fleet while I'm gone." Wei's expression showed his disapproval, but he nodded. "Yes, Captain." "I'm coming with you," Ambassador Nixtao announced. Amadi immediately objected. "Not a chance, Ambassador. This is a military operation." "The Zephyrians are telepaths," Nixtao countered. "If humans approach alone, they may react defensively. They need to see a familiar species, someone they might recognize." Valeria considered this. "He's right. The ambassador comes with us. Dr. Chen, you too. We'll need your expertise if the survivors are injured. Chief Amadi, you'll lead security." Nixtao's inner light pulsed with surprise. "You're bringing your security chief? Your chief scientist? This is not typical command structure." Valeria's lips twitched in a grim smile. "Humans don't believe in sending others where we wouldn't go ourselves, Ambassador. Especially not when lives are at stake." 90 minutes later, the stealth shuttle detached from the Intrepid. Its advanced hull material absorbed rather than reflected sensor scans, making it nearly invisible to detection. Inside, Valeria, Amadi, Chen, and Nixtao sat in tense silence as Ryota piloted the craft toward Eris Moon. "Approaching the energy shield," Ryota reported. "It's unstable, fluctuating power readings." Dr. Chen studied her instruments. "The shield is failing. Based on these energy decay patterns, it might not last another day." "Can we pass through without damaging it?" Valeria asked. "I think so," Ryota replied. "There's a pattern to the fluctuations. If I time it right." The shuttle slipped through a momentary weakness in the energy barrier. Below them, the moon's surface came into view. What had once been a barren rock had been transformed into a series of connected domes and tunnels, a hastily constructed refuge. "They're hailing us," Amadi reported with surprise. "Audio only." "Put it through," Valeria ordered. A voice, strangely melodic yet filled with static, filled the shuttle. "Unknown vessel, you are not Harvester, identify." Valeria leaned toward the comm. "This is Captain Valeria Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call." There was a long pause, then, "Earth? You are humans?" "Yes," Valeria replied. "We've come to help." Another pause, longer, this time. "Land at the coordinates we are sending. Approach with care. Our defenses are limited." The shuttle touched down inside a dome, large enough to serve as a landing pad. As the doors opened, Valeria led her team out. Weapons ready, but not raised. Amadi positioned herself slightly ahead, eyes scanning for threats. They were met by figures that seemed to be made of living crystal, similar to Nixtao, but more angular, with facets that reflected light in complex patterns. One stepped forward, taller than the others. "I am Guardian Zoril," he said, his voice producing those same musical tones they had heard over the comm. "Last protector of the Zephyrian Collective." Ambassador Nixtao stepped forward and performed a complex gesture with his hands. "The celestial confluence extends sympathy for your suffering, Guardian. Sorrel's crystal body shifted slightly toward him. Celestial, you have come far. Then he turned to the humans, but not as far as these deathworlders. Valeria stepped forward. We received your distress call. Our fleet is holding position at the edge of your system. Fleet? Zoril's body pulsed with light. 5 ships, Valeria confirmed. Armed and ready. The Zephyrians surrounding them began to shimmer with increasing intensity, their crystal bodies vibrating. Valeria felt a strange pressure in her mind, like gentle fingers trying to open a door. They're attempting telepathic contact, Nixtau warned. Valeria stood her ground. We're here to help, but we do it our way. No mind reading. The pressure vanished. Guardian Zoril's light dimmed slightly. Fascinating. Your minds are as shielded as your bodies are resilient. Perhaps there is hope after all. He gestured for them to follow. Come. I will show you what remains of our civilization. They walked through tunnels carved into the moon's rock, lined with living crystal that provided both light and structure. Hundreds of Zephyrians moved through these passages, their bodies dimmed with what Valeria recognized as exhaustion or illness. How many survived? Dr. Chen asked quietly. 9,427, Sorrel replied precisely. From a population of billions. What happened? Valeria asked, though she had already seen the evidence. Sorrel led them into a larger chamber with a view of space through a transparent crystalline dome. From this vantage point, they could see the distant shapes of the harvester entities surrounding the broken Zephyrian homeworld. They came without warning, Zoril explained. Their vessels do not attack in ways you might understand. They attach to a world and feed. The planet itself is their sustenance, rock, water, air, all consumed to fuel their expansion. And the people? Amadi asked. Soril's light flickered in what seemed to be pain. Also consumed. The harvesters make no distinction between sentient, life, and resources. Why didn't you fight back? Amadi pressed. Nixtau answered before Zoril could. The Zephyrians are peaceful, Chief. They have no weapons. We believed cooperation and understanding were the path to survival, Zoril added. We were wrong. The harvesters do not negotiate, they only consume. Valeria looked out at the distant enemy. How long have you been hiding here? 47 of your Earth days, Zoril replied. Our shield generator is failing. When it does. He didn't finish the sentence. Why did you send the distress call? Valeria asked. If you believed no one would help? Zoril's crystal form shifted, facets turning to catch the light differently. Hope, Captain. Even as we prepared to join our ancestors, we hoped someone might record our passing, that the galaxy would know what happened here. We're not here to record your passing, Valeria said firmly. We're here to prevent it. Before Zoril could respond, Amadi's communicator beeped. Captain, Commander Wei is reporting movement. The harvesters have detected our presence. They're sending entities toward this moon. Valeria turned to Zoril. We're out of time for talk. Do you want our help? The Guardian's crystal body pulsed with light. What can 5 ships do against the Void Harvesters? They have destroyed our world. We come from a world that tried to destroy us many times, Valeria replied. Earthquakes, hurricanes, pandemics, volcanoes. Earth throws death at humans every day. We learned to fight back. Now we'll fight for you. A tremendous boom shook the entire dome. Amadi checked her tactical display. They're testing the shield. It won't hold for long. Valeria activated her communicator. Reyes to fleet. Execute attack pattern Epsilon. Focus fire on the smaller entities approaching the moon. The human ships moved with surprising speed. Built to maneuver in Earth's dense atmosphere and heavy gravity, in the vacuum of space they were terrifyingly agile. Through the dome, Valeria and the others watched as bright beams of energy lanced out from the human vessels, striking the approaching harvester entities. Where the beams hit, the dark organic hulls of the enemy began to glow and rupture. Your weapons are effective, Zoril observed with surprise. High-energy plasma, Valeria explained, generates extreme heat. Heat? Zoril's body brightened. Yes, the harvesters avoid stars. They cannot tolerate high temperatures. For the first time since arriving in the Zephyria system, Valeria smiled. Then we just found their weakness. The battle continued above them, human ships dancing around the larger, slower harvester entities. But even as they watched, more enemies began to move away from the broken planet, turning their attention to this new threat. There are too many, Nixtau said quietly. Valeria's smile faded, but her resolve didn't. Get your people ready to evacuate, Guardian Zoril. This moon won't be safe much longer. Evacuate to where? Zoril asked. To our ships, Valeria replied. This isn't the final battle. It's just the first round. While the evacuation preparations began, Dr. Chen studied the Zephyrians with growing concern. Their crystalline structures are degrading, she reported to Valeria. Not just from physical damage, they're experiencing some kind of systemic energy deficiency. A Zephyrian healer named Talix approached. Unlike most Zephyrians who communicated telepathically among themselves, Talix had learned to speak aloud, for the humans' benefit. We require specific light frequencies, Talix explained. Our homeworld provided these naturally. Without them, our bodies grow weak. Chen nodded. Like plants without sunlight. Valeria turned to Ryota. Can our ships provide these frequencies? If Dr. Chen can identify the specific spectrum they need, we can modify our ship's environmental systems, Ryota confirmed. Meanwhile, Ambassador Nixtau had withdrawn to a quiet corner of the dome. When he thought no one was watching, he activated a small device concealed in his hand, sending a brief encrypted transmission. Chief Amati, who had been observing the ambassador since departure, noted the action, but said nothing. In the command center of the Intrepid, which had now moved closer to Eris Moon to facilitate the evacuation, Commander Wei coordinated the defense against the approaching harvesters. The human ships formed a protective screen around the moon, their weapons tearing into the organic-mechanical hybrid entities. But for every harvester they damaged, 2 more detached from the distant planet and moved to join the attack. Wei analyzed their patterns with growing concern. The harvesters were learning, adapting their approach with each engagement. They're not just mindless parasites, he muttered. They're intelligent. On Eris Moon, the evacuation proceeded with controlled urgency. The Zephyrian survivors moved in orderly groups toward the transport vessels, carrying only what they could hold, primarily crystalline objects that Valeria assumed held cultural or personal significance. Guardian Zoril worked alongside Valeria, coordinating his people's movement. Your ships can accommodate all of us? He asked. We've reconfigured our cargo bays and auxiliary spaces, Valeria confirmed. It won't be comfortable, but everyone will fit. Comfort is irrelevant when survival is at stake, Zoril replied, his crystalline features glinting in the emergency lights. As another group of survivors boarded a transport, Valeria noticed something unusual. Unlike the others, these Zephyrians carried large crystalline matrices, complex structures that pulsed with inner light. What are those? She asked Zoril. Our memory crystals, he explained. They contain the collective knowledge of our civilization, science, history, art, everything that makes us Zephyrian. We'll ensure they're transported safely, Valeria promised. Elsewhere in the complex, Chief Amati had cornered Ambassador Nixtau in an isolated corridor. Want to explain the unauthorized transmissions, Ambassador? She demanded. Nixtau's inner light flickered with surprise, then dimmed defensively. I am merely reporting to my government, as is my right. And what exactly are you reporting? Ahmadi pressed, her hand resting casually near her sidearm. The situation here, the condition of the survivors, the effectiveness of your weapons against the harvesters. Nixtau's voice remained level, but his light pulsed erratically. Just routine diplomatic updates? Ahmadi's tone made it clear she didn't believe him. The celestial confluence has concerns about humanity's rapid expansion into the galaxy, Nixtao admitted. Your species is unpredictable. You mean effective, Amadi countered. Unlike your confluence, which apparently knew about these harvesters, but did nothing to help the Zephyrians. Before Nixtao could respond, the entire structure shuddered, violently. Emergency alarms blared as cracks appeared in the crystalline walls. The shield has failed, a Zephyrian voice cried out over the communication system. Harvesters are attaching to the moon's surface, Amadi's communicator chirped. Chief, get back to the command center, Valeria ordered. The evacuation just became a lot more urgent. As Amadi turned to leave, she fixed Nixtao with a hard stare. This conversation isn't over, Ambassador. In the main dome, chaos threatened. To overtake the orderly evacuation, Valeria took charge immediately, her voice cutting through the panic. Stay in your assigned groups, she commanded. Proceed to your designated transports. We have time if we maintain order. Dr. Chen rushed up to her, face grim. Captain, I've been monitoring the harvesters' approach. They're not just attaching randomly, they're targeting the dome's structural supports. They're learning our weaknesses, Valeria realized. Ryota, how many more transports do we need? 4 more shuttles should complete the evacuation, he reported. Estimated time 45 minutes. Valeria shook her head. We don't have 45 minutes, we need to buy time. She activated her communicator. Commander Wei, we need a diversion. Something to draw the harvesters away from the moon. Already working on it, Captain, Wei replied. We've identified a pattern in their response behavior. They prioritize targets based on energy output. We're preparing to launch high-energy decoys to the far side of the 6th planet. Do it, Valeria ordered. Outside, the human ships executed a complex maneuver, launching what appeared to be small satellites that immediately began emitting enormous energy signatures. As predicted, several harvester entities detached from the moon and moved to investigate these new, seemingly rich energy sources. It's working, Amadi reported as she rejoined Valeria. The pressure on the dome is decreasing. Guardian Zoril approached, his crystalline form pulsing with urgency. Captain, there is something you must know about the harvesters. Something we discovered too late. Tell me, Valeria said. They are not separate entities, Zoril explained. They appear autonomous, but they share a collective consciousness, a hive mind that extends across all harvester forms. When one learns, they all learn. Like the Zephyrian telepathic network? Dr. Chen asked. No, Zoril's light dimmed. Our network connects individual minds while preserving autonomy. The harvesters are extensions of a single consciousness, an ancient entity that exists to consume. That's why they adapt so quickly, Valeria realized. They're not communicating. They're parts of the same organism. As the final evacuation transports prepared to depart, Nixtao approached Valeria. Captain, a moment. His voice was tense, his inner light pulsing rapidly. What is it, Ambassador? Valeria asked, her attention divided as she monitored the evacuation progress. I must inform you that the Celestial Confluence has concerns about your intervention here. Valeria's eyes narrowed. Concerns? We're rescuing people from annihilation. Yes, but bringing the Zephyrians to human space, integrating their technology with yours, it alters the balance of power. The Confluence believes. The Confluence sat by and did nothing while an entire civilization was being devoured. Valeria cut him off sharply. Their concerns are noted and dismissed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have lives to save. As she walked away, Nixtao's expression hardened. He touched the concealed transmitter again, sending another brief signal. In the command center of the Intrepid, Commander Wei received an urgent communication from their long-range sensors. Captain, he reported to Valeria, we're detecting multiple new energy signatures entering the system. Configuration unknown, but they're moving in formation. Reinforcements? Amadi suggested hopefully, or more harvesters. Dr. Chen countered grimly. Valeria turned to Zoril. Time's up. We need to complete the evacuation now. Any Zephyrians not on transports in the next 10 minutes will need to be carried aboard by our emergency teams. As the final groups of refugees hurried toward the waiting shuttles, Valeria looked out at the broken remains of the Zephyrian homeworld. The harvesters had reduced a once beautiful planet to a hollowed-out husk, and now they were turning their attention to the humans who dared to interfere. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was becoming something else entirely. A confrontation between the voracious harvesters and the dangerous deathworlders they had never encountered before. And as the mysterious new arrivals approached, Valeria realized that the true complexity of galactic politics was about to become violently clear. "We came to save the Zephyrians," she murmured, "but I think we've just started something much bigger." Behind her, Ambassador Nixtau watched with calculating eyes as his encrypted transmissions received their first responses, and the balance of power in this corner of the galaxy began to shift.